Welcome to the Digital Marketing Insights podcast, brought to you by Brightside Digital.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm delighted to say we have Megan with us today, who's a marketing manager. Megan, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Just thank you so much, Tom, for inviting me to be on. I'm really, really excited to be here.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I'm very excited to interview you. Megan, we start off. Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your career to date, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually from Cork in Ireland. I apologize in advance if I talk extremely fast. I've been told I've recently moved to Dublin and I'm constantly being told like you need to slow down when you're talking. So very sorry if I go very speedy at any stage. Just flag me and I'll stop.
My partner's
Uh,
from Cork. Don't worry, we're all good here.
Oh, literally. And like people turn to me and they're like, "Oh, is everything okay? Like, are you a bit nervous?" I'm like, "No, I'm just really excited and or happy or sad or I think it's just that I'm Cork. It's actually not my fault.
Yeah.
It's just who I am as a person. I am going to speak fast. So I'm going to work on not speaking too quickly. So just stop me. It'll be fine." I suppose the best way to kind of go around this is the way that I got into marketing originally. I considered it a little bit different to a lot of people I know that are in the area. I suppose from a really, really young age, I always had a really strong interest in like how people think and why they do what they do and getting an understanding of decision making and literally why someone chooses to do something that they've done. So I actually started my academic career studying psychology and sociology. So getting like a really deep understanding of the individual within the group. So I did that in UCC in University College Cork, and at the same time, I got really involved in the ENS, so the Entrepreneur and Social Society. So I got really involved in promo, doing promotions for different events. At the same time, I started working in the bar industry, so I was doing a lot of promotions within different nightclubs and bars around Cork. And at the time, for me, it was just a fun thing to do on the side whilst I was studying. And it was only in later life that I realized like this was all starting my journey into marketing and branding and promotions. And then I took a year out after I finished my undergrad and I just, kind of really decided I need to figure out what I want to do with my life because I kind of realized that the psychology route and understanding the mind, while it's very interesting, it didn't really give me that kind of fulfillment around like the creative side of my brain. So I sat down and I looked into different additional courses I could do if there was anything. And that's when I found the Masters in Management and Marketing in UCC again. So I went back for a second round, and it was literally during that year I just realized it was like everything falling into place, light bulbs, fireworks. I was like, this is what I need to be doing. It was that balance between the logical and the creative, bridging gaps between like design and function. It was literally all of my favorite things all combined into one place where you could also study why people do things that they do and make the decisions that they make, but also learn how to influence the decisions that they make and kind of bring people along those kind of customer journeys. So I had the opportunity during my master's to work in a PR firm inside in Hopkins and Cork, and it was incredible, incredible experience, and it really opened up my understanding of that side of marketing, and I really, really enjoyed it. And from there, I went into actually event management for a while, and I kind of like I thoroughly enjoyed the like physicality of event management and being involved and meeting people and getting to be part of organizing all of these really, really incredible kind of events around the country. But I kind of missed that like strict marketing area. So I got an opportunity to interview for a five-star resort in Cork. So I moved back home. I was in Ennis when I was working in the event management. So I moved back to Cork and I got the job in the resort and I was strict marketing there, traditional marketing for about I think it was just shy of 3.5 years. Absolutely loved it. Like found my niche, found what I wanted to be doing. I always kind of dipped in and out of the digital side of things as well, but just the idea of campaign creation and like predominantly content creation is one of my favorite things to do. So I got really, really into it and I really, really loved it. And obviously the terrible COVID situation came along and I was fortunate enough to be kept on. And it was kind of during that time that, sometimes when you feel like, whilst something is so incredibly fun and enjoyable and amazing, that like you need to challenge yourself that to that next level, and that's where I kind of got to at that point where I wanted, a bigger challenge, a bigger fish. So I was approached about a job in Dublin, but it was in B2B. So it was a completely different type of market, a completely different kind of area, but it was also building a brand from inception. So one of the major construction companies was setting up a new in like smaller division, and they wanted someone to come on board and build it from scratch. And I was like, well, I can't say no to that now. So that's how I got to where I am currently. I'm running the marketing in the same company at the moment, still living up in Dublin. But it meant that I got to be part of literally concept creation, everything. I built our tone of voice, I wrote our website. Like, I've never got to really experience every single solitary step of a brand before. So it's just been absolutely incredible. Like, I work with some incredible people, and I suppose it's like you wake up every morning and you realize that this is actually exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Like, no part of me has ever gone, I should be in a different industry, or I shouldn't be in marketing. Like, I've always known from the moment that I realized that marketing was what I had been interested in the whole time and just didn't know it. I've just absolutely loved it.
Love it. Love it. And yeah, your work, the new site, it looks fantastic. Love how dynamic it is. Can really see all your experiences coming through. I suppose the first question I would normally ask is, what would you see is your main strength in marketing now? What's your go to skill?
I think, like, for me in particular, I think it's probably content creation. I've always been an avid storyteller, but I also really, really enjoy the element of marketing where you work for, like, you can work in any industry when you're in marketing. You can jump into any kind of company. Like, even myself, I've went from hospitality to construction, couldn't be farther away from each other. But I love taking information that only a specific group of people understand and making it consumable. So I love sitting down. Like, I sat in meetings when I first started here, and I remember my director was texting me going, because it was obviously all on Zoom, and he was like, "Get off your phone, like you're looking down the whole time." And I texted him back saying, "I'm actually Googling the words that you're talking about because I don't know what you've said in the last 10 minutes. I don't really understand what a fan coil is, and I just want to double check that I'm not going to say something absolutely outrageous." But I had the transferable basic skills that like I needed at the time. So I love taking that information and distributing it to different clients and different people in the audience in a way that they'll actually understand. It's all well and good for me to sit down and, like, I'm here nearly 2 years, so I have a very much deeper understanding of the business and how it works now. But it's great for me to talk about ergonomics and why you should be sitting a certain way, whereas to the masses you talk about how you at your desk, how it affects even your mental state, and it's all broken down so differently. So I think my biggest strength would definitely be around that kind of content creation. It's bringing it all on a journey and bringing it through. And, like, as I said earlier, I've always been interested in how people think and why they do what they do. So I love understanding, like, our target audiences and our target markets, and really, really breaking it down into, who are we aiming this campaign at, and why, and what's the journey that they're going to go on, and then what's the content that has to go with that. So I suppose it's kind of building all of that and how it all comes along.
Yeah, and like there's so many elements we could talk about here, Megan, because obviously you've moved from a lot of like marketing to customers to now the B2B marketplace. LinkedIn is obviously one of your go-to platforms. Impressively, it's over 7,000 followers, the actual company page. Obviously, you would have done that from scratch. And what I love through your content is you've been adapting to the different options you have. So right now you have a poll around sustainability issues on as your latest post at the time of recording. So I can see you're trying to engage as well as do content pieces about the business. Can you talk about your transition to B2B marketing and maybe some tips for any listeners that might be trying to grow their LinkedIn or how you interact with people on that?
Yeah, 100%. For me, I suppose I kind of approached it obviously from a B2C area, where I suppose my biggest tip would be approach B2B. You take your businesses and approach them like they're client or consumers. So take it like it's B2C, but on a much wider scale. So when you're doing your client journey or when you're doing any of your target audience research, take the company as if it's a person and then break it down as if it's a person again and again and again and do it the whole way down along. Because at the end of the day, all of these big major businesses and all of these big major companies are made up of people, and the people are the decision makers. So if the people that you're talking to are the ones that you want to engage with, you talk to them, not on the wider scale of things. You don't kind of think, okay, so I'm targeting at that tech company, so I'm just going to talk about all of the different things to do with tech.
Yeah.
Talk about the people within that company. What are they looking for? Because at the end of the day, just because they work within a tech company doesn't mean that their life revolves around tech, and they might have other interests or other areas. Are they, like, at the moment, as you said, we're talking a lot about sustainability, so maybe that tech company, whilst they're very involved in technology and innovation, they might have a huge green initiative, or the decision maker within that company might be obsessed with sustainability and making sure that the bee population comes back. You never know until you start looking into it on those deeper levels. So I suppose look at a business like a person, but at the same time, keep knocking it down, breaking it down. And the deeper you can go, the better. And the more you understand about their values and their understanding and what that company represents, the easier it'll be for you to put the information that they'll find interesting in front of them.
Yeah. And for anyone listening, if you do check out the Interiors by Sisk's LinkedIn page, you can see the different types of content that Megan's been doing. I'm really impressed with. Do you have different pillars? Because you have a consistency of different formats. It could be, images of work done around interiors, but there's a lot of interactive, informative pieces as well. I'm looking at one right now where it's desk posture and repeated movements, and it's kind of interactive graphic that updates throughout. Is that something that you create yourself, and how do you go about doing that? And the stock images, I suppose, they're the three questions I'd ask around that.
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm very fortunate. I've got a graduate working with me. Her name is Catherine, and she's absolutely incredible. And what we did is at the very start, when I was originally building the brand, I came up with, I worked with the company at the time about the brand guideline development. And then since then, I've kind of updated it again. So I didn't want to get too strict on myself on like specific templates for socials, because I find that sometimes I know if I'm scrolling through social media, I'll think I've seen a post before just because someone's too strict on the layout of the post or the way that it's done. And I kind of go, I liked that earlier. But then you find out it's a completely different post, but they've just used the exact same template twice. So what we would have is we've got very kind of strict but fluid guidelines in that these are the colors, you have to have this and this, logo placement, positioning, all these kind of things. But then we also obviously use what's ever the most optimized at the time for LinkedIn. If that's, the carousel kind of PDFs, or if it's a video, or if it's a graphic, we would try our very best to keep on top of what's relevant in the industry at the time and what the algorithm is going to pick up. But also, as I said, that repetition, I think it just kills branding. So we would normally say we post 4 times a week. We might do one static image, one, we call them photo dumps, but it's just multiple images, maybe one PDF carousel and a video. And then that might change. That kind of, we have a bit of fluidity on that. And it depends as well on what the actual content is. So as you like, last week we were talking about ergonomics, so it made much more sense to have something that's a bit interactive and visually stimulating, because we're talking about how you're positioned and how you're sitting. But if we're giving you a list of very important top tips, we're going to do a PDF slide across because that suits the information best. We don't actually use as like, well, we use a bit of stock imagery, but usually either only in the very back or like graphics. But predominantly, I'd say 95% of our posts are actual projects that we've worked on. So a lot of like those kind of background offices and spaces, a lot of the time it is us,
Yeah.
which is very helpful because the lads do incredible work and the team are absolutely amazing, so they provide me with enough content that I can just be absolutely bombarding with stuff at all times. And we're very lucky to be part of such a big massive company that has a lot of fit out works completed. And they're an amazing team, and every single person, they're very good for sending me over stuff. And it'll be, oh, look at this picture. We have a picture of a crane going up at the side of a building that literally, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, it's absolutely bucketing raining, but one of the lads sent it to me because he's like, I'm just so proud of this, and we put it up, and it genuinely was one of our most successful posts. And I was just like, thank you for sending this to me. This is great.
Yeah. Well, but that's important in itself. You know, you've created a culture where, because some of the quality of the imagery, it looks like professional. I know iPhones and stuff are so good nowadays, but the quality of the imagery is top level.
Yeah, and we have like, we're working with some incredible photographers as well. And every single time we have a project complete and I get sent over the pictures, like, even my mind gets blown. I actually went back once asking, was it renders? Because I was like, it's so good, it doesn't even look real. I was like, oh my god, I was like, I'm gonna have to like put a filter on this so it looks kind of worse so that I can pretend that I took it. Like, I'm gonna have to try and get away with this one. But no, we do work with some absolutely brilliant photographers as well. And
Brilliant.
like, and of course, like the team actually delivering the projects, it's great to have them. And as you said, like, getting everyone involved, like, I've tried to instill as much of a culture as I possibly can with our team, that each and every one of them is a brand guardian. They're all brand advocates, they're all working. So even something as simple as, if you went onto our page, like our banner image on the company page is, it's kind of cut in half, and it's a picture at the top, and then it's red at the bottom, and it's got like our name, and it's just got a little tagline on it in the website. But if you go onto any one of the teams pages, we've got the same thing, but in grey, which is one of our other colors, with our titles and then the company. So there's that fluidity throughout everyone, because everyone is passionate about it. Everyone is on board. Everyone's doing everything. Like, they're an incredible team. And like, I would say that's actually a big tip that I would have for any of your listeners is, bring your team on the journey with you and get them as excited as you are about branding. I've got site foremen who've sent me pictures of windows going, we should put a picture in here, and we should put a poster up, and should we order maybe the red one that you had on that other site? And they're so excited to be involved in the branding process and making sure that everything's up to scratch. And I get an email saying, oh, we had to put a bit of carry board up to protect something. Do you think we can get branded tape? And I'm kind of going, yes, of course we can. We can do whatever you want. But it's so great to see their passion as well. And it
Yeah.
makes your life as a marketer so much easier when everyone wants to be involved, and they want it to be amazing, and they want the best for the brand. And like, I sent out those new banners for LinkedIn. I think it was like a Tuesday morning, and by Wednesday lunchtime, every single solitary one of them was updated.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
and I think that's incredibly impressive
Yeah.
for a group who just turned around and went, "Oh yeah, we better do that now, because we have to keep the fluidity of the brand going." I just loved it.
And is there any particular campaigns or work that you've done recently that you're really proud of?
I think, to be honest, like, as a whole, I'm very proud of where the company that I'm in at the moment has gone, and the building of it. I think, in general, across the board, I couldn't genuinely pick a single one that would be my most proud. I have a kind of a motto to myself that every single campaign and every single project is a success, because even if it doesn't get the insights that you wanted or the reach that you wanted, you learn something from everything,
Yeah.
and you're always going to gain some bit of information, or you're going to learn, okay, maybe we should do this differently, or that should be slightly kind of adapted. You're like, you get something from everything. So in my eyes, all of them are successful. So I suppose, like, also, I'm biased because I'm obviously going to think that all of my stuff is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I do think, like, the one thing that I'm very proud of is, like, our current website is great and the content is brilliant, but we are doing a bit of a tweak to it. and it just technically hasn't actually been launched yet. But when it is, I think that's going to be a big success for me. I'm really really looking forward to that. And from a general sense, as I said, like bringing the team on board and having a group of people so passionate, that's a huge success for me as well. I just think having a group of people who probably wouldn't have been that involved in something like marketing, you know, a lot of them didn't really know what I did or what my purpose was, and to have so many of them reaching out and being on top of everything and being so involved, like that for me is huge as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. And is there any particular softwares that you use that really enhances your role?
Canva. Every single marketer should be on Canva. I'd actually lay my life on it. I think it is the greatest tool for marketers on online at the moment. It's a design platform. It's where I build everything. I make all of our presentations on it. I updated our branding on it. I use it for all of our socials. Literally everything. Get the professional account. It's 11.99 a month, I think. It's so worth it. It is the greatest thing that you'll ever spend money on. I had the professional one when I wasn't even working here because I was like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I used it for my CV when I applied here. So it obviously does something right. But it's just one of those platforms that makes everything so much easier. It's just your video creation, all of your content, everything. It's just brilliant. It's very good for, checking like spelling and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have Grammarly, which I also think is something that everyone should have. But as a general tool, you can upload all of your. So I have it at the moment where I've got like our main color palette, our secondary color palette, and our tertiary color palette, and all of our fonts. And then you can take one of their templates and click on the style, and then change the whole thing into your branding in a second. And you can just keep pressing it and it'll keep changing it around. So maybe the font is in the red and the background's in the gray, and then the detailing is in the white, and then you press it again and that all flips around. It is just brilliant. They've added a load more stuff as well at the moment with like interactive whiteboards, having different areas for. They did a lot about video editing is a huge thing on there at the moment. But for me, when I first started, I was helping the team with the tenders. So when you go out to tender to get business, and I was redesigning and kind of adapting all of our stuff. But you can invite your team to it. So at the current team we're using InDesign, so it meant that they build something and then they send it off, and then someone has to go through it and make all their comments on what they'd like to change. Whereas I built it in Canva. I sent a link to one of the lads, and he went in and he was able to live change everything, and it's just brilliant. Obviously, if you need that higher level of Photoshop, something like InDesign is fantastic as well. But I think for general marketing, in a sense, that the most that you'd need Canva, hands down, it's my favorite thing.
Love it, love it. Really good advice. And is there any tips you have in Canva that you could share with people of, oh, you should check out this because this is great as part of the platform?
Um, I think the main thing for me is definitely the either the photo sharing and also their level of like the templates. Like if you're unsure of how you want to lay something out, or if you're playing around with doing something new, it's brilliant. And also, if you're doing things for say like Instagram Reels or TikTok or any of that kind of stuff, like I think TikTok you should probably do it like on TikTok, it's the easiest way. But for Instagram Reels and everything, it's all already there. If you go to create a design, all of the everything's already sized, so you can go Instagram story or Instagram post or infographic presentation A4, like everything is there off the bat. It just simplifies everything so much for you. On Like it's just brilliant. My main advice would be spend the time to upload all of your brand guidelines into it,
Yeah.
because then when, as I said, when you click into like you pick a template, you click on style, it auto does it, and it's just so much easier. Even yesterday, myself and one of our big coordinators were working on a presentation, and we were looking at how to do like a really nice showing of a customer journey with us, and we spent so long just literally sitting there on different templates, and then we got completely distracted because we were like, how cool is this and how amazing, and I was like, none of these match our brand guidelines, we can't use any of these. But we just went down such a rabbit hole of how amazing everything on it was, and we were both like sitting there like, she was at home, I was in the office, we weren't sharing screens, we were just both in the document on the phone, and literally it's just such a brilliant system for marketers. And I think they actually reached, was it like 100 million users recently. There was something, I follow them on LinkedIn because I am literally that obsessed with them. And like, but they are doing amazing, amazing things, and they're constantly bringing in new updates, and it's all very secure for your information. So definitely just get it. That's my advice. Get it, download it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, get it. Even the
sorted.
free one, just do something. Just get
Yeah,
it. Like,
exactly. And away from your strengths at the moment, is there any areas you're looking to upskill into and why?
I suppose it's predominantly, as I like kind of tipped on, was is around video. I think I can put together like the basics of a video in the sense of, I can put together an Instagram reel, or I can put together a TikTok, or kind of the smaller end of things. But it's when I started kind of working here, I didn't realize, like, I didn't really know how good I was at things like Canva and building presentations, because I would have always relied on graphic design firms to just build it to the template, and then I'll come along and just put in the information in. And it's ever since I came here and I didn't have access to design firms, I didn't have access to these things, that I was like, oh, I can actually do this myself. This is great. So now I'm really starting to see the areas that I'm not that great in. So I definitely could do some like video editing, I think. And I also think that it's like with TikTok, and realistically whatever comes after TikTok, it's the way of the future is going to be video. It's going to be consumable information in that kind of forum. So I think that's something that I'd like to put a lot more time and effort into, is kind of the higher end. Like I want to be able to do like really cool transitions, and I want to be able to do like proper, I basically want to become a video editor.
Yeah,
Putting it simply, but like in marketing. But like I want to be able to do like the proper, really, really good production video quality. So that's something that I'm definitely, in the coming months, I'm going to be looking into. I'm going to be putting a lot more time and effort into that area of things.
brilliant. And looking at the digital industry as a whole, is there anything that you see coming in the future that you're like, oh, this is going to be big for your industry or anything coming up?
I think, to be honest, at the moment, the big digital phenomenon, it's TikTok. Like, this is where life is living at the moment. I think there will be something. I don't think that's like, there. You've got your B reels, but from a business perspective, I think when it comes to things, I think it's still very much in the TikTok era at the moment. I Even looking forward, I don't even know what's next. I do think from a digital content perspective, I think consumers are getting a lot more savvy. And I think things like TikTok, where people have to be very instant and it's behind the scenes, I think a lot of content and the way that brands speak is going to change. I think there's going to be a lot more transparency, and I think the ways of the very formal advertising is going to drop off, in
Yeah,
my opinion. I,
really well said. And Megan, we always end this question on the show. I'll start that again. And Megan, we always end the show with this question, which is, if you could bottle up one personality trait that you have yourself that you could pass on to others, what would it be?
so I've thought about this one. This took a bit of consideration. I think the one thing that I am quite good at is I'm very level-headed, in the fact that the logical side of me is at the forefront a lot of the time, but I do have that kind of creative flair. But I always try to see the positives, and I always try and bring a bit of positivity no matter what the situation. So I think that's something that in myself, I like it in other people, so I would hope that I like it in myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
But I like to bring that little bit of positivity, and I think it's something that everyone should have, and if they can't have, should try to have, because even just seeing a little bit of brightness or light in something can change your perspective of an entire day. And even like when it comes to content creation, sometimes you have to post about things that aren't necessarily the most like good news pieces, but when you approach it with that kind of positive mindset, and when there's change and you have that positive mindset, I do think it helps. And I'm lucky that it's just something that I kind of naturally have. So I would say that that's a trait that I admire in myself.
brilliant. And if anyone would love to get in touch with you, how can they?
So your best bet would be LinkedIn. I'm Megan Rose McCarthy on LinkedIn.
Brilliant. Thanks everyone for listening, and thank you, Megan, for being on the show.
Thank you so much.